The year was 2008. In a remote region of Siberia, archaeologists were digging inside a cave known as Denisova Cave. Suddenly, they discovered a tiny fragment of bone buried in the soil. After careful investigation, it turned out to be the bone of the smallest finger of a human hand. When the researchers first found it and began studying it, they initially believed it might belong to a Neanderthal, a species of human that lived about 40,000 years ago. But when scientists conducted DNA and genetic tests, the results shocked everyone. The DNA did not belong to Neanderthals, and it was not from modern humans, Homo sapiens, either. Instead, it belonged to an entirely new type of human species that the world had never seen before. Welcome once again to this video. Ladies and gentlemen, that tiny bone actually belonged to a young girl who lived on this earth around 50,000 years ago. And since the bone was discovered in Denisova Cave, this mysterious human species was named Denisovans. When this discovery was announced to the world, it created a massive shock in the scientific community, because the family tree of human evolution that scientists had built suddenly began to shake. Until then, the story seemed simple. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, existed, and before us were Neanderthals. But this discovery proved that there was a third type of human species living on Earth alongside us. And the most surprising part? These Denisovans were not weak or primitive humans. They possessed abilities that modern humans don't even have today. But despite being such a powerful and advanced species, history books barely mention them. The biggest twist in this story is that even though Denisovans are no longer alive today, their DNA still exists inside many people living on Earth. When scientists compared the DNA from the discovered bone with the DNA of people from different parts of the world, they found something incredible. Even today, people living in Tibet, Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, and Australia carry Denisovan DNA in their blood. This clearly means that at some point in history, Denisovans and modern humans met each other and interbred, passing their genes to future generations. But here comes a huge mystery. For Neanderthals, scientists have discovered thousands of fossils and skeletons across the world. But when it comes to Denisovans, we only have a few pieces of evidence. A tiny finger bone, a few teeth, a jawbone from Tibet, and a skull found in China. That's it. Scientists are puzzled. A species powerful enough to leave genetic traces in modern humans should have left many more fossils. So why are there so few? When the discovery became public around 2010, it completely shook our understanding of human history. Before this, scientists believed the story was simple. Humans evolved in Africa and then migrated to other continents. Neanderthals lived in Europe, occasionally encountering Homo sapiens. But the discovery of Denisovans complicated this entire story. DNA from Denisova Cave proved that this was not a small, isolated population. When additional fossils were found in Tibet and China, it became clear that the Denisovans once spread across large parts of Asia. They didn't just live there, they shaped the immune systems, bodies, and even the biology of people living there today. But the mystery of why their fossils are so rare still remains. When scientists carefully analyzed the discovered bones, they began reconstructing what Denisovans might have looked like. At first, researchers thought they probably looked similar to modern humans. But the evidence suggested otherwise. A skull discovered in China, often referred to as Dragon Man, had an unusually large and robust structure compared to modern humans. Meanwhile, the jawbone found in Tibet was nearly twice as thick as that of an average human. Their teeth were massive, almost looking like they belonged to another species entirely. But the most astonishing feature was their brain size. According to scientists, the space for the brain in Denisovan skulls may have been about 30% larger than that of modern humans. And this wasn't just about size. It suggested their brains might have worked in different and possibly more advanced ways. Does this mean Denisovans were superhumans who were forgotten by time? It's true that a larger brain doesn't always mean greater intelligence. But when scientists analyzed Denisovan DNA, they found something remarkable. Their genetic code contains unique neural pathways and genes related to brain development. This could mean their memory and pattern recognition abilities were far more advanced than ours. Science also reveals something fascinating about how Denisovans helped shape modern humans. When most people struggle to breathe at 10,000 feet above sea level, people in Tibet live comfortably at heights of 14,000 feet. The secret lies in a gene called EPS1, which helps the body absorb oxygen in thin mountain air. And surprisingly, this gene did not originate from modern humans. It came from Denisovans. Thousands of years ago, while our ancestors lived mostly in lowlands, Denisovans had already adapted to extreme mountains and icy environments. Today, the descendants of people living in Tibet benefit from this Denisovan genetic gift. And that wasn't their only contribution. Denisovans also passed down genes that strengthen the human immune system. While ancient humans were dying from new diseases, Denisovans seemed to survive them far more easily. Their DNA contained powerful genetic defenses against illnesses, which later spread to populations in Asia and Oceania. Some researchers even believe their cellular aging process was slower, meaning they may have lived longer lives than ordinary humans. Think about it. Stronger bodies, larger brains, survival in extreme environments, powerful immunity, and possibly longer lifespans. Doesn't that sound like an upgraded version of humanity? But the story doesn't end there. In 2008, scientists discovered something extraordinary inside Denisova Cave, a beautiful green bracelet made from a rare stone called chlorite. At first glance, it looked like a modern piece of jewelry fit for royalty. But carbon dating revealed that it was between 50,000 and 70,000 years old. The most astonishing detail wasn't its shine. It was a perfectly round drilled hole in the bracelet. Experts believe such precise polishing and drilling would require high-speed rotary drilling technology, something that modern humans only developed tens of thousands of years later. Seeing this level of engineering in the Stone Age stunned scientists. One expert even compared it to finding a modern iPhone inside an ancient Egyptian pyramid. Then in 2016, researchers discovered another incredible artifact in the same cave, a 7-centimeter long bone needle, around 50,000 years old, with a carefully crafted eye for threading. This is considered the oldest sewing needle ever discovered. While many early humans were still simply wrapping animal skins around themselves, Denisovans were actually sewing fitted clothing. They also created beads from ostrich eggshells and carved symbolic patterns into stones. The use of symbols suggests they likely had a structured language and advanced communication. These discoveries show that Denisovans were not primitive cave dwellers, but rather highly intelligent and skilled humans. But if all this hasn't surprised you yet, get ready for something even bigger. Deep within the forests of Siberia lies a mysterious place called Mount Shoria. There, massive stone blocks weighing over 3,000 tons can be found. Even modern cranes would struggle to lift them. Their edges appear perfectly cut with straight lines and right angles. Mainstream geology often calls these formations natural, but many researchers believe their structure looks artificially shaped. Across Mongolia and Central Asia, thousands of similar perfectly cut stone slabs and strange stone structures have been discovered. Many of these sites are aligned with the stars and the sun, much like Stonehenge, the Egyptian pyramids, and Mayan calendars. So the question arises, did later civilizations discover these ideas on their own, or were they following knowledge left behind by Denisovans? And finally, the biggest mystery of all, if Denisovans were so advanced, why did they disappear? Why do we have so few fossils of them? Around 40,000 years ago, Denisovans were still alive. And this was exactly the time when modern humans began spreading across Eurasia. History shows that when two human species compete in the same territory, usually only one survives. Humans were more numerous, aggressive, and highly adaptable. Genetics shows that humans and Denisovans interbred, which is why their DNA still exists today. But eventually, Denisovans vanished. Some researchers believe it may have been a prehistoric genocide, where modern humans gradually replaced them. Others suggest a different theory. Perhaps Denisovans withdrew into remote mountains and valleys, isolating themselves from the violent expansion of Homo sapiens. Then about 12,800 years ago, a massive catastrophe struck Earth, a period scientists call the Younger Dryas event. Fireballs falling from the sky, sudden temperature changes, melting ice sheets, and enormous floods reshaped the planet. Many ancient traditions describe this time as a great flood or reset of civilization. Perhaps this was the moment when the hidden Denisovan civilization, along with all its knowledge and tools, was buried forever beneath the earth. And all that remained was a tiny finger bone, silently telling the story of a forgotten human species. If an entire super civilization could disappear from history, imagine how many other secrets are still buried beneath our planet. And the most important question is, how many mysteries are still waiting under the ground, ready to be discovered? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it. Thank you for your wonderful comments and support. See you in the next amazing video.